If you're even the slightest bit updated on world events, then you probably already know about the ongoing Israeli-Gaza conflict. It's more or less the most trending issue on the international front, and it has been for a while now. In fact, there are growing speculations that the conflict is poised to go from bad to worse, and some people even believe we might be looking at the possibility of another world war. Of course, another world war is the last thing anyone needs right now, especially with the consequences of the previous one still somewhat fresh at heart. However, with the conflict quickly escalating and several foreign powers inclined to take sides, there's really no writing off the possibility that things could get scarier. Now, the question on everyone's mind is simple: are we headed for a third global war? Well, to get an answer to this question, we need to take a deep dive into the history of the conflict. So, welcome again to your favorite financial channel. Today, we'll take a look at the history of this conflict that has got the whole world watching, and then we'll consider its economic and financial implications on the world at large. By the way, you surely want to stick around until the end to get a glimpse of Kyosaki's message on how to prepare for the impending effects of this rumored world war.
I wish there wasn't war. Let's live like the Beatles and be prepared for it. It's not the way life is.
But first, ensure to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Now, let's get right into it. History of the Israeli-Palestine conflict. If you're a history buff, you probably already have an idea of the land conflict between Israel and Palestine and how it started. But it may come as a surprise to you to find out that until World War II, the majority of Jews that make up the Israeli population were focused in Europe. However, the events of the Holocaust and other similar occurrences forced this population to move back to their original settlement, which, by the way, was already occupied by the Palestinians at the time. In 1947, the country of Israel was officially created with the aid of the United Nations. This was done by dividing what used to be known as the British Mandate for Palestine into a Jewish state and an Arab state. But then, while the Israelis accepted these terms, the Arabs were less than satisfied, and as you would expect, the treaty didn't last. You see, in the treaty, the Jews were allocated 55% of the entire land area, while the Arabs were only allowed 44%, with the remaining 1% being under the control of the United Nations. These terms were obviously not so favorable for the Arabs, who felt they were getting the short end of the stick. So it only took so long before war broke out between the Arabs and the Israelis. The Gaza crisis origin. Now, while the Arabs clearly outnumbered the Jews had more sophisticated weaponry, and it was only a matter of time before Israel won the war. As a result, they laid further claim to more land, occupying thousands of kilometers of Palestinian territory. However, in 2003, Israel withdrew from the Gaza Strip, which was already one of Palestine's strongholds. In case you were wondering, the Gaza Strip is the smaller of the two regions occupied by Palestine. But then, it remains one of the world's most densely populated places, with over 2 million people living within this territory. This land strip is also home to the Hamas subgroup, which is widely referred to as a terrorist organization. And well, the group itself has carried out several terrorist operations against Israel over the years, leading to what is now a full-blown crisis between the Israelis and the Palestinians in Gaza. Now, what is the current state of Gaza? Well, in what was described as a retaliation to a Hamas-led attack on the 7th of October, Israel began an intense bombing campaign in Gaza that has claimed thousands of lives and caused unimaginable damage to the land strip known as Gaza. The entire territory is now a nightmarish situation, and infrastructures are being destroyed every day. But, as many have claimed, the situation before now was not so much better. According to reports, Gaza has been placed under strict restrictions for the past 16 years, with Israel controlling the flow of basic supplies like food, water, fuel, electricity, and medical aid. So in essence, it's always been up to Israel to allow or deny the supply of these amenities into Gaza. As if that was not enough, a strict restriction is also in place to control the number of Palestinians allowed to enter or even travel through Israel, further compounding the misery of the Gaza residents. No doubt, all of these and more are the factors leading to the current nightmarish state that the Gaza Strip finds itself in today. And it's also part of the build-up to what is gradually becoming one of the major crises of the 21st century. So, are we expecting another world war? Well, it would be a long call to say the Israel-Gaza conflict is destined to grow into a global war, But then, with various international bodies, countries, and world powers starting to show serious interest in these happenings, there's certainly no writing off the possibilities of one. Luckily, there's no direct indication yet that any of these countries or international bodies will be joining in the war soon. So, for now, it's still just between Israel and the Hamas militant group, and it's still only based in Gaza and some parts of Israel. However, it only takes a single action to trigger a domino effect, and things can go from 0 to 100 in the blink of an eye if any more fronts to the war are open. Unfortunately, that may be the case soon, as experts are suggesting that an Israeli ground invasion of Gaza is now inevitable. Plus, in such an event, Hezbollah, which is a Lebanese militant group, seems bound to interfere alongside Iran in actions that will most definitely lead to a widespread war across the entire Middle East. Now, you don't need a war expert to tell you that things can only get worse from there, and World War III might just yet be in the cards. Kyosaki's message and the financial implications of an impending world war.
Every country has a school for military officers.
Truly, it doesn't take much imagination to figure out the effects a war will have on the economy. After all, we've already witnessed such effects with the First and Second World Wars. And of course, this is one of the reasons why all hands have been on deck to avoid a third world war. But it's almost looking like it's too little, too late. This is little wonder why, in a recent interview, American business tycoon Robert Kiyosaki was quick to reiterate the catastrophic effects that the looming war could have on economies around the world, even though he was also keen on the fact that a third world war is now a matter of when rather than if. When asked of what he thinks about the state of unrest and the possibilities of war, this financial sage simply said, "It's coming." He also added that it's the preparation we make now that will decide how controllable the situation will be when the war finally comes. In his message, Kiyosaki emphasized that there will be a major drop in the percentage of employment as a result of the economic drop. According to him, the only way to survive the impending decline is to invest in cryptocurrencies, such as Bitcoin and other blockchain-related investments. He also explained that these currencies are great because they have integrity and retain their value over time. In essence, Kiyosaki is advising that you should consider putting more investment into cryptocurrencies now. This is in preparation for the possible economic effects of the Israel-Palestine crisis, which might well be turning into a full-blown war soon. Of course, it is very logical advice by all means, and you definitely will not regret following it. So there you have it, guys, the story of the Israel-Gaza conflict and the potential economic effects. Be sure to subscribe to this channel now and check out our other videos for more exciting economic and financial updates. See you in the next one.